However, because Fraught is streaming and recording this week's, no, not this week's, this meeting, yeah, it will be on his channel. I do apologize, but this is kind of what we have to work with. So, yeah. Let's first of all show off my structure, and then people will have a chance to come up and discuss the structure, come up with a potentially new structure, argue that we need a new structure, and then we can get all these ideas down, ready for people to vote on, and yeah, and then once we've come up with all the staff structure thing, then we will go through and kind of come up with kind of what we want each staff rank to do, and then obviously once it's all been voted for and people are happy with it, that will then be up to me and the judges to formally write the ROTC, rather than just kind of a board of like information and such, taking in the feedback that we've been given, what the people have voted for, and such and such. Okay, so as normal, if anyone has any questions, feel free to message me directly or ping me in no mic. And yeah, I'll try and get to it as soon as possible. Yeah. So this is the proposed structure that I believe could potentially become the new structure. Obviously, that's up for everyone else to decide. However, this is my formal setting of what I believe should be the staff structure. Now, this structure is very similar to the one that we have now. The major changes that are seen in the Prime Minister role, the new Councillor role, the Guards, and the new Manager's role. Obviously, this is definitely to try and fix issues and stuff, so I'll just get into it. The one that isn't that much of a big deal is the Manager's role. The Manager's role, from what I've been told by other people, is very similar to the old Proxy Guard role. However, basically with the Managers, it's basically they're basically ministers. However, the Manager is unique in that they will be running a very particular part of the community, but it's separate. So the managers, as I've written here, would be the ones anyone that was in charge of Red Light and Aurora. Now, obviously, to begin with the introduction of these roles, based on the needs of Aurora and Red Light as of now, the managers would not be voted for the time being until Red Light is fixed, because I am aware that there are certain issues in Red Light, so Red Light would be fixed before we potentially look into or discussing the idea of if the manager for Red Light should be elected. And then obviously there's Aurora. Aurora does also itself have a few issues at the moment, so that also wouldn't be democratized until potentially it is up to a state where it's pretty self-sufficient, and then we can potentially look into democratizing it. So it is very, very similar to the minister role. It's just acknowledging that the role that these guys are doing and fulfilling is a lot more demanding than the average minister role. So it's kind of more of a way of acknowledging someone and acknowledging their work. The next, I think the role that sees the most change to its position under this model would be the guards. Under this model, the guards would not be elected. Instead, they will be purely moderators for the servers, the police force. They don't make suggestions, they don't represent, they are simply the moderators. Their job will be to be unbiased and fulfill the role and ensure that the ROTC is enforced. And then obviously, if people have a problem with the guards, they will either go to the judges or go down Muley's proposed guard report system, which would be, from my understanding, dealt by the judges. So they would strictly be moderation. It's to try and keep kind of people believing that the moderators would be out to get them because, well, obviously they're not, because they won't be elected. They will have no agenda, nor will they have people that, that are influencing them, because that is their pure job. And they don't have to then worry about playing favorites, because obviously they're not elected. They will be the best chosen people for the job. It also means that they will be here longer, meaning that they rank the experience up a lot quicker, and they're not replaced every 2 months. So ensuring that the best quality moderation team for Caveton is seen. Now, I am aware that democracy is a very, very big concern for people within Caveton. So that is why there will be a new councillor role. The councillors would be the elected officials of Caveton that would be the representatives of the community. So they would be elected. It would be their job to make suggestions, like the guards currently do, and overall represent the community proper. Now, on this model, there would be an even number of councillors. Now, I am aware that that would mean stalemates within the councillors. However, what would make the councillors an odd number would be the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, under the new system, would be the vote that breaks the kind of, makes sure that the number is odd, so that there are no stalemates in votes. It'll be up to the Prime Minister then. So the Prime Minister would then act as a representative. However, the Prime Minister would also act as the Minister of Ministers. So it kind of gives them Prime Ministers and future Prime Ministers a little bit more work to do, because they would get the chance to avidly make suggestions and have them voted on by the council, and then also vote themselves. It would also kind of, as more of a lesser function of the Prime Minister, however a fairly important role, is if a guard is not present at that time, but the Prime Minister is, it would also be the Prime Minister and the Monarch's role to moderate in situations. However, if a guard is present, then that's the job of the guard. However, if a guard isn't present and none of the guards are capable of being there, then it would be then the role of the Prime Minister or the Monarch to step in and be the moderation. So the ones that would pretty much stay the same is the Monarch, the judges, ministers, and clerks. So that kind of balances out a lot of CAVETON and moderation, and it also means that people won't be attacking the moderation team if they've come up with a suggestion. They'll be well, they won't be attacking because you're not really meant to be insulting people and being mean, but they would then bring their queries up with the elected councillor. So we won't get a situation where the moderation team comes under fire for a decision that is made. That would then be the councillors whose sole purpose it is to represent the people. Another thing the guards will have to do as a result of, I guess, not making suggestions on stuff, it would be that a guard would also have to help out with clerk positions. This is because recently we have had a shortage of clerks to help out with the current ministers and managers. So this means that a guard would still have the same amount of work to do. However, what they do is different. They're still helping the community through being clerks, but they're also moderating the community by being the basic moderators. I'll stop rambling about my proposed system. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Councillors would be chosen through a vote. The voting system would be how the current guards are voted in, to kind of ensure that everyone does get a say, equal say, and everyone kind of, at least everyone's candidate is extremely likely to win. Obviously by the, well, I forgot the official name for it now. But yeah, so we're still keeping democracy in that people vote for the councillors and the prime minister. However, from now on, moderation will not be politicized. So, does anyone have a alternative idea for staff structure, or want to ask any questions? Or I am open to people coming up on stage. If you guys want to come up, just pop your hand up. You can come scrutinize and, oh, here we go, dragon. Right, we've just there we go, dragon. I've invited you up. I saw you put your hand up. Hello, dragon. Welcome.
This is for specifically Aurora.
Yeah.
But Aurora needs a much larger staff team than it has now.
Yeah, that is what this system would also look to fix. Staff shortages, and also more attention. With that being that it's the guard's responsibility to help out with some of the minister roles.
Yeah, because it's become very apparent to me that one recruitment person isn't not enough.
Yeah, and also the managers would get a little bit more power than ministers do, so that they are able to recruit and do potentially a lot more to kind of help out their area of expertise and kind of the area that they look after.
Okay.
Any
Aurora
other?
needs a lot of help.
Yeah, that's on the my personal agenda, and the agenda for whoever, if this system were to pass through, the agenda of the manager.
Alright, well that's all I had to say. I gotta go now.
That's okay. Thank you for participating. Much appreciated. Right. Next person to come up is Fraught. Requested you to come up. Hi, Fraught.
Hey, so I have a few concerns that I want to bring up. A few of them are conceptual, the other ones uh, have to do with everything that has been said. The first
Okay.
thing has to do with uh, the managers that you're proposing.
Yeah.
You stated that the managers would be given more power than what they currently do. Could you elaborate on that?
Um, they would.
Because
I guess they would have a bit more influence over what their kind of what their area, like over their area of
how
expertise.
is that different than a minister, though?
Um, I guess not that much, but a manager is an acknowledgement that the work that they do is
So
important,
so
like
they don't
severely important.
actually have any differentiators. It's just the name. Because
The name, and that they would have a lot more personal control over what happens within them than maybe perhaps a minister would.
but okay, then that leads me back to the question. How is that different from like a minister of red light would have full control over who he recruits, when he recruits them, etc., 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 unless the prime minister slash monarch would say otherwise. And so now we're saying that they would have a lot more control. How much is more control when the current control is considerable?
Well, I trying to think. Um,
While
um,
you're
I guess
Mhm.
kind of in a way, if I guess the little bit of extra power that they would have is if the council were to be discussing um anything related to their specific area, they would also be able to, I guess, kind of get a say in what the council talks about.
Ministers already do that
If
though.
if if
Theoretically, that's what they do.
yeah, that's theoretically this would be cementing it proper
Now, I
and
do want to ask about that really quickly, the cementing part, and which is like partially my bigger concern out of all of this. Now, this could be traditionalism in some way, but you've put out the point of this is what they're meant to do, and this is what I want to see from them, which is great. But in the document that you've put out, I, I see no rules that manage the interrelations of the powers. Like I understand counselors what they're generally supposed to be doing, and in the current ROTC, to be fair, it's not very well established, unlike ROTC 2.2 for that matter. But in ROTC 3, at the very least, the powers that are mentioned within every rank or role is specific to that power and like implies what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know if that makes any sense. So basically, what I'm saying is, um, like I understand the general gist of what you're doing, of like what you're trying to do with the counselors, and like for instance, the counselors. You said they're gonna be elected. That's great, but where does it say that? In the draft that you've shown me, it just says what the counselors are. It doesn't, say when they're gonna be elected, what voting system will be followed. And so what that means to me is, um, like it's open to interpretation. The monarch or whomever is in charge can just choose how they're elected. They just have to be elected in
because
some way.
because what you saw on the document wasn't the final product.
Mm,
It was the original idea that was put towards everyone else for them to build on it and for them to sort out what voting system do we use? What
mm,
is the specific things that this role does?
mm.
What you saw there was a blueprint
Oh, okay.
and not actually specifically everything.
Okay, so there's gonna be a better refined version of that. That's just how it is right now.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
just
I'm
my
sorry. That was
idea
my
written down.
misunderstanding. Okay, that was just my misunderstanding then. my final point that I want to make has to do not really with the ROTC in general, but it really has to do with the participatory nature of what is trying to be done here. Um, you know, right now there's four of us total. I'm really only here because, I was asked to be here for the recording session. Um, Although I was sort of thinking about popping in whenever I had time to just sort of give my 2 cents, kind of like how I did in the other one. Uh, my biggest concern right now is that the interest for the rewrite has gone down tremendously. And so I'm concerned that if the modality of which the rewrite doesn't change to some extent, I'm afraid that we're going to do a lot of work, and a lot of the work that we've done right now, I feel is not bad. It's actually quite good. And the ideas that have been put out, it's all good. I think that, that, but if more people don't understand that, oh, this wasn't just the ROTC that was made for like a handful of people. It's the ROTC that everyone sort of came on the consensus on. We're gonna have the same problem that we did with the previous ROTC. The previous ROTC was also publicly written, but there was little participation, and that was one of my mistakes. So what I'm asking is there. I don't know what other modality we could apply, but for instance, for me, what would be very useful is if the ROTC document itself, this draft that we're working on, could allow for suggestions or comments that would, in the document itself, allow people to add their ideas so they don't necessarily have to be in these meetings. They could and they would, obviously, if they managed to put in a suggestion in there somewhere to sort of mend these ideas together, which is what these sessions would be. Like, take all the ideas that people may or may not have written down, and boom. Um, but at the way it stands, I'm afraid that if the current art rewrite takes place, and hopefully by the end, and at least tradition would dictate that when we're done writing and we have the final draft of the ROTC4, the entire draft itself needs to be submitted through a vote. That's the way ROTC 3 and 2 and 1 and even the protocols previously have been passed. Um, and it's good, obviously, because you may agree with one specific thing, but if you disagree with the entire thing, it's like, well, what's the point? Um, so that would be my suggestion. And if we don't include more people, or if more people don't care, like they currently don't, because a variety of reasons, then we're going to find a lot of resistance to this rewrite, and that would be a shame because you guys are putting in a lot of work. That's all I have to say.
To counter what you said, right now people have 3 ways to make a comment on stuff about the ROTC. In every single vote, as seen in the first vote, there was a chance at the bottom for people to express their concern and express their ideas if they weren't available to join the meetings. That was on the voting for the first section, and on every single section there is there is a chance for, while voting and looking at everything that was come up in these meetings, for them to put their ideas down. And if we see common ideas or ideas that could work, then they have a chance. Then obviously we will put it to a vote, or we will implement it if we see it enough. Another thing is people have the chance to put their ideas down in the channel. Where if an idea gets enough traction, then obviously it gets either implemented if there's like widespread, like this idea needs to be put in, or if not, then it's put to a vote. And then obviously there's the meetings here. There are 3 ways as it stands right now for people to submit their ideas and what they believe should happen, should change, how things should be slightly tweaked. There's not much else I can really offer to people. People have every chance to make their suggestions. Yeah, that as was said in No Mic, there are several ways for people to participate and to put forward their ideas for the ROTC, not including this meeting. There, as it stands right now, there are 3 ways. There's not much else I can really do. Yeah, I'm aware Ichigo wants to speak, however, I'm addressing your concern. There's not much more else I can really do. Hello, Ichigo. Welcome. Ichigo? Hello? Ichigo? We can't hear you right now. If you are speaking. I mean, I could be going deaf or hallucinating. Oh, Ichigo's gone. He might be reloading his Discord. I'll invite him back up. There we go. Hello. Nope, still can't hear you. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. Take your time, Ichigo. We're not in a rush. Unless, of course, I collapse and die. Nah, I'm kidding. Huh, okay. I really do hope Ichigo gets gets his sound fixed. Real shame. Yeah, that's fine, Ichigo. Shit happens. I'll invite you up. If not, you can always message me what you have to say, and I can. Hello, welcome. Is it perhaps something in Discord? You know, what the input device is? I know sometimes Discord can randomly change what my input device is, so it doesn't, so it doesn't work. But oh yeah, Ichigo, that's completely fine. In the meantime, while we wait for Ichigo to write, how's everyone's day been? Sorry, I'm not very good at small talk. Guy that talks. Been windy. Oh yeah, I've heard about in America they've had a few tornadoes, twisters, I believe. If you're in one of the areas affected, I do hope you're all safe and you're all okay. I think it was, I forgot what state it was. Fairly central, I think. But no, that's okay. Yeah, I think I must say the one thing that I am forever fascinated is the geography of the center of USA, because it's quite flat and surprisingly inhospitable. If you this is something I did for GCSE, when you kind of look into people in the 1800s kind of traveling across to get to the west. It's definitely something that is particularly quite interesting. And how such flat land can create such inhospitable and dangerous conditions for people to live in. God, I am such a nerd. I really do apologize. So I guess I was going to say is that it would appear that the managers are the same as the ministers. It's just the potential would be different. I.e., if red light were to get bigger, it would allow for more input from managers. Yeah, again, I guess that really is kind of the core of what I wish to have the managers. It's a chance for them to potentially get bigger. It's more of a, I guess it definitely get a bit more reaction to if their needs of the managers change, because the needs for the places that they look after are, climates for stuff like that changes 24/7. So you do need a role that can be quickly adapted and quickly changed without changing the entire system. And of course, as I keep saying, it is an acknowledgement for kind of what a task is kind of being taken by being being in charge of one of those places. So, does anyone have any questions or such? Or before we get into kind of the basics of what these people would be doing? Or, do we have any objections to the system? Or what? I'm gonna assume by the radio silence. Oh, each going to come back up.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank fucking God. Oh my Jesus Christ, dude. It was okay. Anyways, so I mean, what was your response to my little no mic question? I don't think I heard it properly.
Sorry, you weren't here. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. It's
right. So basically,
sorry.
No, that's okay. The managers are basically the same as a minister, just a +1 because they're managing an entire server. And if the server were to get bigger, then that manager would in turn have a lot more sway or input into the total inner workings of CAVETON, right? That's the basic gist of it. Right.
Pretty much, yeah. And as I do keep saying, it is an acknowledgement for that the undertaking that these people are doing by dedicating a large amount of their time to these separate, almost separate identities, separate places, it is an acknowledgement that what they're doing is pretty big.
Right. All right.
Which I
That's
guess
totally
doesn't have as
agreeable.
much as a technical role, but yeah, the managers would also later down the line have the potential for their role and their purpose to grow and develop. Whereas I
Right.
guess if we kept them as ministers, we'd struggle a bit because we'd have to bring in the manager role if their needs were to change, so then we can clearly identify that it's separate and that they need to be doing specific things right from the start. They have the potential to change.
Right. Okay. Then yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. But does anyone else have any questions on the potential structure before we take a little break for me to go to the toilet? Again, I have a incredibly weak bladder this evening, so I really do apologize. Does anyone have anything else to add? Or check no mic.
Doesn't appear so. I'm ready to talk about the nice nitty gritty of everything.
Yeah, that's gonna be the fun bit. So we're just gonna take a quick 2-minute break because I need the loo. So I guess this is a chance for you guys to take a quick breather, grab some water. We're in for a long night, boys.
He called it a loo.
Yeah. And I'm kidding. I don't care. I'm aware that people have separate names for stuff, but yeah. I'll see you all in 2 minutes. I am dying. Goodbye. Ichigo, while I'm gone, keep everyone entertained.
All right. Welcome to stand up night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Chill. That's all he's got.
That's fine. Just give me 2 seconds. Me and Fro are switching places, so I'll be recording. Whew. Obviously, I do apologize in advance if I do need to randomly go, because I feel like I can't continue. I'll try and make it up as relatively quickly as I can.
What do you call a bee that can't make up its mind? Maybe.
Ha, ha. That's enough for one day. Oh, Frog maybe wants to come up and speak. We've been invited up.
Yeah, this is the switch off because I need to actually be typing and doing stuff on my computer, and I really can't do that when stuff is like I could talk and do everything at the same time, but at this, I need to be concentrating on other things, and I just kind of need mindless conversation, if anything. And I'm gonna probably have to be coming back, and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Relatively frequently. So, Total, I'm also sorry that you're feeling so bad. I hope you get better, mate.
Thanks.
With that, I will be shutting off the stream on my channel, and I will be well, I don't know. I think Total, you'll just stream it to the Cavecast channel.
Oh, I'm already live.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Okay, switch off. Awesome.